My name is Summer. I am a 43-year-old woman, and this happened 23 years ago. I was born and raised just north of New York City, but we always had a little tiny summer house near the Jersey Shore. So I learned how to body surf and became one of the first female ocean lifeguard on the Jersey Shore. So all my friends were guys. Although I was dating a guy named Derek at the time, on the day before Christmas Eve of 1999, my mother didn't want me in the house. We didn't know the term back then, but she was a narcissist. So was my older brother and my older sister. My father worked in New York City. He was never home, and when he was home, he drank. So I didn't have any family support, and she didn't want me in the house on Christmas Eve day. So she said, just get out and come back at 5 o'clock for church. So I had nowhere to go. I knew my boyfriend, Derek, wasn't in town, and he traveled to Minnesota to visit his family. I called to check on him, and he was with his parents and siblings, baking cookies, and I remember wishing that I had gone to Minnesota with him. I told him that I was bored, and I had nowhere to go, and he said I should go to his place, since I have a key to his apartment. My boyfriend had a roommate at the time, but he wasn't sure whether his roommate was home. My plan was to go to my boyfriend's house and play some video game till 5 o'clock. When I got to his apartment, I was surprised to see there was a party going on there. We have mutual friends, and that community had a lot of surfers, body surfers, and boogie boarders. I thought everyone left for the holiday, but a lot of people stayed. A lot of people coming in and out, faces I knew from years down, and there he was, a face I don't know. His name is John. He walked up to me and introduced himself. We started talking. He said he used to be part of our group, but he moved away, and now he's back. We soon ran out of water, and I told him I was going up to my boyfriend's apartment to get some water. And John suggested he come with me. My boyfriend's roommate wasn't home, so we went inside and got some water. Even though the fireplace wasn't working, it felt good inside. So we decided not to go outside because it was getting cold out and wet. We started playing video games together. Then John started making moves on me. I resisted at first, but he was persistent, so I gave in, and we had X. After we were done, we got hungry, and I went to the refrigerator to get some food. There was nothing in the refrigerator. It was a typical surfer house. I said to John that I have to stay out of my house until 5 o'clock. I am going to take a drive down to South Jersey. You know, if you want to go, you can go. If not, I'm going anyway. And he said, yeah, I will go. So I said, okay, fine. It was a beautiful scenery, ice cold gray skies, deserted, just a straight drive, all the way down south. We got down there around 4 o'clock, and the stores were closed. We stepped out a little bit to stretch our legs, looked in some art shop and some surf stores. We were just trying to get a good breath of fresh air before we turn around and come home. When I realized I needed gas, the problem with that is it was Christmas Eve and a lot of gas stations were closed. I did happen to find one that was open, and I pulled in just as the guy was turning out the lights. I said to the man, you know, I'm so sorry. Can we just get some? Here's $10. I just need some gas to get home. We will be quick, and right after that we can go. You can leave and shut up the store, which is exactly what happened. I got $10 worth of gas. I ran to the ladies' room, but when I came back, John was on the driver's seat. I said to him, John, you can't drive, because he told me he didn't have a license, and he had also finished in a short amount of time half of the bottle of whiskey that I had as a Christmas present in the trunk. I looked at a payphone and wanted to call home. I didn't want to get in the car with him, and my instincts were nobody is going to come and get me. You know, they're not going to drive all this way. If I can just get home, I will never see him again, and that will be the end of it. So I got in, and I know from the ocean life, sun rises in the east, sets in the west, and if we just wanted to go back north, we had to turn around. He sped off going more south, and then into the sun, what was left of the sun into the west. And I knew we were getting further and further away from home. He was speeding, he was driving erratically, and I found out later he was diagnosed schizophrenic, who had been on lithium but has stopped taking it, combined with the alcohol, just really gave him an otherworldly personality. He turned the radio up really, really loud, and I turned it down, and I said, "Look, kind of have to concentrate. There might be a roadblock." And that was when he hit me. For the first time, he backhanded me, and he had a big paw for a surfer guy. He was not your typical lanky guy. He stood out in so many ways from our usual crew, you know. He was big, he had blonde hair, you know, the blue eyes, but he was just like a beefy kind of guy, which you wouldn't particularly think would be a surfer. I had been assaulted at 14, and the guy had covered my mouth. So I was kind of used to being in a scary situation, but I had never been physically assaulted before. This split my lip, and the blood ran down my shirt. It was cold and wet, and I said to myself, you know, don't say anything else. Let him just keep his eyes on the road. Let's see if he can get the car turned around and he calmed down enough to get me home. Amazingly, God showed me a way out of this when we were stopped by a police officer. But I didn't take the opportunity, maybe because I didn't know he was planning on killing me. We were stopped by a police officer, and I asked for directions. I said, "We are trying to get home," and the officer said, "It's the next little turn right. That will get you back on the pathway." So I said, "Thank you so much." I didn't say anything. He didn't say anything about my lips or the fact that John had been drinking. Again, I just wanted to get the night over with. But again, as soon as the cop pulled away, he went further south and into the woods. We took a right turn into a cul-de-sac, and I didn't realize that he was looking for a place to kill me. We pulled into the cul-de-sac, and the first miracle happened. There was all these surfer guys doing construction. They don't do construction during the summer, and we didn't know there was a construction crew in this remote area working on a house on Christmas Eve. All the surfers do construction when there were no waves, so I knew what the crew was doing. I just knew that they should not really have been out on Christmas Eve. It's freezing, it's cold, it's dark. They had floodlights. You know homeowners are going to wait until the holidays are over. There wasn't an emergency situation. So to see a crew with their trucks, with their lights and their hammers, working hard on Christmas Eve just didn't really quite add up. That was the second time in the space of a few minutes that God showed me that it wasn't my time to die. That was the first place he pulled over to try to kill me. And he pulled out, and I kept thinking, okay, if we just keep heading north, I'll be fine. That never happened. There was a road blockage sign that said, "Road is under construction. Do not go any further." There is a sawhorse. He went around it, and he drove as fast as he could. And he stopped, wrapped short on the side of the road. I had had a dream 2 nights prior, and the message was lock the door. I had locked the door of my apartment, and I thought that's a funny message. The door is locked, but the dream meant the car door. So he got out of the driver's side and ran around the front of the car, and I could see the lights, the headlights on his jeans. What is going on? Is he going to the bathroom? I didn't know what he was going to do, but he ended up opening the passenger side, where I was sitting, dragged me out of the car by my hair. Next thing I know, I was laying on the dirt road floor as he proceeded to kneeling on my stomach, so hard that I puked all over myself. He then started hitting me so many times. I just saw a little blue light every hit, and I said to myself, if I can keep my eyes open after every hit, I know I'm still alive. I'm still breathing, and as long as I can see that light open my eyes, after it, I said I would be okay. And the light was from the impact. He wasn't satisfied with the fact that I was still opening my eyes, and he grabbed half of the hair on my head and twisted my trachea. I heard it cracked. I heard it turn on itself, and he said, "I'm going to kill you and throw you in the ravine." I was using a little bit of psychology. I said, no, whatever you want, whatever I can do to help you get home, go ahead if you want to take the car. It didn't matter, and it was one of those blows that I came out of my body, and I saw the scene across the road, and I was perfectly at peace. I was undisturbed. I was like watching what was happening. I saw my body on the side of the road. He was standing over it, and I had had a red coat on him. My arms was at a funny angle, and my face was turned away from the road, and I was dead. I remember thinking I was okay where I was, and I just felt, I guess I was at peace in a very strange way. But my thoughts before that had been, I am never going to see my mother again. Nobody is going to find my body. When I was going out of my body, it was truly not me. I realized that truly it's just who you are on the outside. But there is a part of us that is untouchable and eternal and goes on forever. It's perfectly perfect. And with that, I was brought back into my body. Two car lights came out of the distance in the other direction, and they also had gone around the road closed sign. But on the other side of this road, there were two boys coming back from a AAA meeting who wanted to find the darkest road they could find in town to see the lights. They were just stars. They thought that maybe they could see the Star of Bethlehem, and it startled him enough to get him off of me. I got up and ran at the car and stood in the road. I put my hands over my heart and I said, at least if they hit me, they will know who I am eventually and they will find my body. And that would be better ending than being beaten to death. The car went around me and John had knocked off my glasses so I couldn't see clearly. I saw the red tail light, so I started to run, and then I could hear John running after me as I was running after the car. Eventually, they pulled over and I slammed at the car window. I said, "You let me in, you let me in." And the passenger did. And I jumped on his lap and they closed the door. And I thought, oh my God, now I'm in more trouble because now there's two guys here. They had leather jackets, piercings. There were metal gadgets in the car. I was scared and they were just as shocked as I was. And I said to myself, as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to open up the car door again and I'm going to jump out. Just as I was about to do that, I saw a cross hanging on the rearview mirror and it seemed to be lighting up in the dark, which in a strange way made me feel like I was safe with them. I looked to see if John was still running after me, but he had started the car and driving towards the opposite direction. I watched as he drove off and I could see the faint taillight of my car. The strangers were concerned about my physical condition. They immediately called 911 as they drove me to the nearest hospital. The police showed up at the hospital and I gave them a statement and told them everything that happened. So eventually, John was arrested by the Fortis police and I was called back after getting home to sign a statement. So I never made it home for church. I almost never made it home alive. And then when I did get home, it was 5 o'clock Christmas morning. After this experience, I immediately knew what I wanted to do with my life. I went to school to become a nurse. I now work with very, very poor children, offering health care not only to them, but to their families and to their community. I couldn't be happier with the way my life has turned out since then. Thank you for staying to the end of this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please let me know your opinion on the comment section. Thank you and